There's this haunting line in the gospel today. Jesus says, "This is the verdict, that the light came into the world, but people preferred darkness to light." It's like a really pretty terrifying and haunting thing. Light came into the world, but people preferred darkness to light. Why would that be? Why is it that sometimes we prefer darkness to light? Well, there's a few reasons. One is shame, either because of what we have done or what others have done to us. Shame makes us hide and be silent and to retreat always. There's also fear. There's a fear of rejection if we're sincere and true, if we take off the mask, if we reveal ourselves. There's a fear. There's a fear of failure also. There's fear of suffering and a fear of change too. There's discouragement that comes also, because maybe we've tried to live in the light before and then we've failed, and we find that it's very difficult. And also, lastly, maybe most importantly, sin. Our attachment to sin, this is another way of saying our slavery to sin. Sin holds us bound. Sin doesn't want us to leave the dark to go into the light. There's this is the best image that I could find in Lord of the Rings, whether in the movies or the books. There are these things called the ring wraiths, these fallen kings who now serve the Dark Lord, Sauron. And they say a lot actually about preferring darkness to light. They are hooded figures, and always their faces are hidden. You can never see them. It's just a kind of a dark void where their face should be. And they're covered in these black robes. They're shielded from light and hidden and wrapped up tight in them. And when light comes, when light shows, sunlight or other kinds of light, then they're pained by it and they hiss and scream. Okay, so this is a pretty good image of any creature that prefers darkness to light. It's an ugly thing and a sad thing. Now, when we say then let's go into the light, let's live in the light because we're children of the light. We've been baptized and filled with God's own light. It can sound like kind of a sweet thing, kind of a sentimental thing that you hang over your toilet, like live, laugh, love, like live in the light. Doesn't that sound good? You can find it in Hobby Lobby or something. No, here's I'm not usually a props guy, but I will use a prop today, okay? This is kind of a relic from the college seminary I went to. There's this banner. It says live in the light. And you can see that it's in really bad shape, actually. So this banner hung in the stairwell of the seminary, of the college seminary in Minnesota, where I was for 4 years, and where all of our college seminarians go. It was hung in the banner right at the bottom floor so that all the guys, we all had to go through this stairway, whether we're coming down in the morning for holy hour and mass, or whether we're going back to our rooms to do some homework, or for the end of the day or whatever. Every time that we passed it, and it's like 150, 175 guys every day, we just tap this sign that's hung on the wall. Sometimes it's a gentle tap, sometimes it's a harder tap, sometimes you like push your brother into it, other time you just punch the thing. But this is like this is pretty torn up sign. It's not because people took bites out of it or tore it up or anything like that. This is just from being worn through from these hands day in and day out, just tapping, live in the light. This is a commitment that we make. It's not so sweet. It's not like a cute thing to live in the light. It's this everyday tenacity. It takes courage and commitment and this unconquerable thing that we will not be stopped by pain or by difficulty. It's hard to live in the light. It's hard to take the wrappings off, the ways that we protect ourselves from the light and preserve ourselves in the darkness, the ways that we've protected ourselves from the light. Because these things, like an old bandage, they've been wrapped on for so long, they're embedded. And when we finally take them off, they're going to take some of our skin with them. And probably there will be blood. Living in the light is not for wimps. So what do we do then? Well, go to confession. That's like the first and bottom line. Go to confession. And when you go to confession, go for real. Don't name the acceptable sins that nobody will think anything of. I gossiped, I was judgmental, I was impatient in traffic. Okay, fine, yes, bring those to confession. But what about that thing from long ago that continues to eat you up? What about that thing that you never shared with anybody? The burden that you carry, the thing that you have wrapped up so tight so that you never think of it and you can just ignore it. Go to confession for real. Bring these sorts of things to live in the light of the Lord. The other things we can do, secrets that we have, whatever it is in us that we hide, these things, we bring them out into the light. Not for all the world to see, but people that we trust, people that love us. Sometimes it'll just be like an old lie. Maybe you told a lie and it seemed kind of innocuous at the time, 10 years ago, to your family member or your spouse or whatever. And they believed you, and you got away with it. And you've never told them the truth. Now you bear that secret. And though they trust you because they don't know that you lied, you know. Bring that into the light. What about relationships? Sometimes it's work relationships or friends or whatever, or somebody that you're dating, there are parts of the relationship that you keep secret. Can you do this in the light? Things that remain in darkness, they get moldy and rotten. They become dark. Things in the light purifies and makes it clean and wholesome. It doesn't, to live in darkness, to remain in darkness, it doesn't look like some sort of blood oath with the dark. It looks like little compromises or excuses or rationalizations for ourselves. Another way to live in the light is just to acknowledge and to share our need for help or accountability. We said, I have this thing, I do this thing, I have this habit. When you say this, I respond this way. I don't like it and I want to stop and I need help. I slip back into the darkness and I need to be called back out. Can you ask a brother or sister or your spouse to do that for you? Darkness binds and chokes us. And to see this, you can just compare the difference between being known deeply and loved and being known a little and loved. This is like having seaweed for a snack. You know those little dry seaweed crackers? This is like empty and lifeless. But to be known deeply, for someone to know the problems that you have, the things that you've done wrong, the things that you struggle with and are weak, and to be loved, and they actually know you and know who you are and know what your heart is like, this is an entirely different thing. Darkness binds, it makes it shallow and lifeless. But to live in the light, this is nourishment and life. Jesus, who, as he says in the gospel, is raised up on the cross as our healing and our salvation. Here's what we do. We look at him. We look at Jesus on the cross and we let him look at us, and especially the places that are bound up and hidden and remain behind closed doors and in darkness in us. It doesn't have to be all at once, but will you expose those little places, the places that you're afraid that God might ask you about or bring up, the places where you condemn yourself and you're afraid that God also condemns you? Light, unlike darkness, light sets free and heals. If you want to grow, don't try to grow don't try to grow in darkness. The only thing that grows in darkness is fungus. Open to the light first, and then you can grow. Living in the light, ultimately, it means one thing. It means surrendering to the light, who is God, who is Jesus. And it sounds like this. We say, Jesus, all of me, I am all yours.